Om Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Charnuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadguru. So we are studying the 13th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, and we were on a particularly beautiful sequence of verses. Among the 6 questions which Arjuna had asked, what is the field and what is the knower of the field? What is knowledge and what is to be known? What is spirit and what is nature? 6 questions. We have looked through 4 of the questions and the answers. And the last question which was being considered is, what is that which is to be known? Which means, what is the ultimate reality? What are we trying to realize here? What is the ultimate nature of God, the absolute, the self? So that is the question. And the answer to that, Krishna delivered in 6 or 7 very beautiful verses, from verse number 12 to verse number 18. And we have been seeing that. Now, in verse number 17, there occurred this phrase, Jyotiṣhām api tad jyoti tamasaḥ param uchyate, light of lights, forever beyond darkness. So we have already gone through that, but today, instead of starting a new subject, I want to go back to that and dwell on it. I think I'd mentioned it, I would take some time to dwell on that one. The reason being, that's such a sublime, such a profound insight into reality, into ourselves. It's another reason I'm going back is, of course, I like it. I enjoy it so much. So I'm going to dwell, this whole class is going to be on that phrase only, that way of designating the ultimate reality or pointing to the ultimate reality as the light of lights, forever beyond darkness. We will just read that verse and then I will discuss it and then we can have questions. That's verse number 17, which we have already studied, but once again. Please repeat after me. Jyotiṣhām api tad jyoti, Jyotiṣhām api tad jyoti, tamasaḥ param uchyate, tamasaḥ param uchyate, jñānaṁ jñāna-gamyaṁ, jñānaṁ jñāna-gamyaṁ, hṛidi sarvasya viṣhṭhitam, hṛidi sarvasya viṣhṭhitam. It is the light of lights and is said to be beyond all darkness. It is knowable, it is knowledge, the knowable and accessible through knowledge, and it is implanted in the heart of all beings. So it is the light, the ultimate reality, Brahman, is the light of all lights. It is forever beyond darkness. And where is it? What is it? Who is it? In the heart of all beings. That means it is you and everybody else and everything else. So that is the grand theme that we have for this evening. Let me give you a key to what we are going to do. It's basically a play on the word enlighten. I will characterize it that way. Not that Krishna says that. Enlighten, the word. So it has the word light in it. It's all going to be about light today. So it's got the word light in it. And enlighten, what it means is 2 meanings. One, of course, which we will find in the dictionary. And the other one, I'm just sort of improvising. It's not there in the language. But the first meaning is, enlightened, it means to know something. I did not know this. Now I know this. I am enlightened. So in that sense, in the sense of enlightenment, in the sense we use it in spirituality, Brahma-jnana, to become enlightened, to become a knower of Brahman, or the one who has gone beyond ignorance, attained to the highest knowledge. In that sense, enlightenment. So enlighten, that's one meaning. Second meaning is, light, freed of burden. So in the sense of the result, the knowledge enlightens us, and the result of that knowledge frees us of heaviness, frees us of burden. We are carrying a very heavy burden on ourselves. In the Gospel, Jesus says that, come unto me, ye that are heavy laden. Come to me, who you are struggling under the burden of life. So this burden will be lifted from us. So these are the two things which we're going to talk about. It's sort of a key, that how we're going to be enlightened. And the second one is, what's the benefit? Again, enlightened. We'll be lighter after this. We'll be floating on air or on light, let's say, after this class. So the last time I did mention this, we touched upon it. This Jyotiṣhām api tad jyoti, it's the light of lights. It is, Krishna here is directly quoting from the Upanishads. In the Upanishads we find, Vedāham puruṣam mahantam aditya varnam tamasaḥ parastat. I have realized that infinite being which is blazing forth like the sun, forever beyond darkness. That itself has been mentioned here as light of lights, forever beyond darkness. Krishna mentions that. And the Upanishad goes on to say, Tameva viditva ati mrityumeti nanyah pantha vidyate ayanaya. Knowing that alone one goes beyond death and suffering. There is no other way. There is no other way. Swami Vivekananda would often append this Upanishadic mantra. He would start off with something else. He would say, Srinvantu Vishve Amritasya Putra, listen ye children of immortal bliss. Even those who dwell on high, Aye Dhamani Divyani Tastu. Even those gods who dwell on high, listen to this. What is this? I have known that infinite being which is blazing forth like the sun and is forever beyond darkness. By knowing this, one goes beyond death, and there is no other way. So he loved this, and he quoted it often here and in India too. I also pointed out the very well-known Upanishadic mantra. In Katha Upanishad you find it, in Mundaka Upanishad you find it. Swami Vivekananda often quoted it. Very poetic. Na tatra suryo bhati, na chandra tarakam, nema vidyuto bhanti, kuto yamagni, tameva bhantam anubhati sarvam, tasya bhasa sarvamidam vibhati. The sun does not illuminate, cannot illuminate, nor the moon, nor the stars, nor this lightning, what to speak of this mere fire. But that shining, everything else shines. By its light, everything here is lit up. So, light of lights, in that sense. That is from the Upanishad, Katha Upanishad, Mundaka Upanishad. And we know, as students of Vedanta, what's being referred to here is not some fancy poetry. It's directly referring to us as consciousness, as awareness. This awareness which we have right now. So this we know. And by the way, there are deeper and deeper layers of meaning. When you say the sun does not illuminate, the moon does not illuminate, fire does not illuminate, to those who are versed in Vedic terminology, there are deeper meanings available immediately. The sun here represents the power of the eye. So the eye is extended to all the sense organs, which means when you say the sun doesn't illuminate, the deeper philosophical meaning, epistemological meaning is the ultimate reality is not available to be seen or heard or smelt or tasted or touched. That's the meaning of the sun doesn't illuminate. Then the moon is a symbol of the mind in Vedic thought, in the Vedic paradigm. So when you say the moonlight doesn't illuminate, what does it mean? Isn't it sort of repetitive? Sunlight doesn't illuminate moonlight, so why not add a flashlight and my mobile light also? No. The moonlight here refers to the mind. That means the mind cannot think about it. It's a very subtle point. Have you thought about it? Have you understood it? Have you grasped it? Yes, then it's not it. Because the mind cannot objectify it. And then fire. Fire is the Vedic symbol of speech. So when you say the fire doesn't illuminate, what it means is language cannot capture it. It is not amenable, it is not within the purview of linguistic usage. The entire philosophy of language comes in here. What can language do and what language cannot do? So when we just say the sun does not illumine, the moon, the lightning, there is always deeper, subtler layers of meaning there, very profound meaning there. So this we have seen. What does it mean, all these verses? What do they mean? They mean the ultimate reality, the essence of our subjecthood, that we are awareness. It cannot be objectified, either by this light, or by the light of our senses, or by thought, or by language. It cannot be objectified. Not being objectified, on the other hand, that light, that consciousness is what illumines everything else. So two things. Consciousness cannot be an object of anything else. No other light can objectify consciousness, can illumine consciousness. But rather, consciousness illumines everything else. It is the light of lights. Therefore, Jyotiṣhām api tad jyoti. It is the light of lights. And every evening here we sing. Swami Vivekananda wrote the hymn to Sri Ramakrishna. And there is Jyoti Rajyoti, Ujjala hṛidi Kandara, light of lights. You illumine our hearts. Illumine our hearts means inside us, in our own experience, we are lit up by consciousness, awareness. That is the light of lights. Apparently you are thinking and singing to this gentleman sitting here in the middle with a beard, but we are talking about consciousness. You are the light of lights illumining our hearts. Hearts means our internal, the subtle body, the mind, the intellect. And when we are doing all this fancy talk about consciousness and everything, remember, we are always talking about the self, about ourselves. Vedanta, if you step back and see what Vedanta is proposing, Vedanta is saying by knowledge we attain the highest. And the highest means our real nature. Call it Atman, Brahman, limitless consciousness, this light of lights. It's attained by knowledge. But wait a minute. What do you mean attained by knowledge? What is it that you get by knowledge? Even the Upanishadic mantra which I recited, Tameva vidittvati mrityumeti. By knowing that light of lights, one goes beyond death. How can I know? If I understand Atman, Brahman, the light of lights is beyond death, whatever that means. But if I know it, how do I go beyond death? What is the meaning of attaining something by knowing it? A simple fact. If just by knowing something you get it, you attain it, it becomes yours. If something becomes mine by knowing it only, not by doing anything, by knowing it, then it was already mine. Knowledge just revealed it. The Pandits give an example to make it simple. Some of you, what are you talking about? Very simple. A person had a necklace and had put on the necklace, and it was in ancient India where people went around bedecked with jewelry. So they had a necklace, and they had forgotten that they had put on the necklace. And then they were searching for it. Where's my necklace? And somebody pointed out, you're wearing it. Oh, I get it. Oh, I see. It's right here. So I got my necklace back. It's all right. I got it back. But what do you mean you got it back? The knowledge revealed what was already there. It was already around your neck. Knowledge just revealed it. You didn't have to do anything. You didn't have to, open almirahs or go to a locker and find out. No. None of that would have given back your necklace. Only knowledge can give it back. What was hidden by ignorance, follow this, what was hidden by ignorance was not lost ever. If you have lost something by ignorance, by not knowing it's lost, the necklace, that means it's not lost. And what was gained by knowledge was already there. They distinguish between the two examples, necklace on your neck and the next village. How do you attain the necklace on your neck? Only if in case you think you don't have it, only way is to point it out and say you already have it by knowledge. So that's one way of attaining something, necklace around your neck. What about the next village? How do you attain it? You have to walk. Or if you want to make it faster, you have to take an Uber, which would be in ancient India, a bullock cart maybe. It will turn up. So you have to really do something. Something which is other than you, not in your possession, separate from you. To attain it, you have to work for it. Something which is already there, but by some reason you think it's not there. Only knowledge will show you that it's there. And in this case, Vedanta says it's already there. It's yours. The ultimate reality, Atman, Brahman, it's not only yours, it's you. What knowledge gives me in Vedanta, it's not just mine, it is me. It's closer to me than mine. It is I myself. So something about myself which I don't see, I don't understand, I don't get, that is revealed by Vedanta. That's what enlightenment means. Why don't I know it? Why don't I understand it? Why don't I get it? Its answer is, of course, we know this is ABC of Vedanta. This is ignorance. It's hidden by ignorance. Just like the necklace was, quote unquote, hidden by ignorance. I didn't see it. I didn't know about it. Somehow I missed it. So the ignorance about myself is what coats or hides, veils, quote unquote, my reality from myself. That I am, there is no doubt about it. I am. But I am limitless consciousness, this immortal light, this existence, consciousness, bliss. This is not clear to me at all. So this is hidden from me by ignorance. Now we are going to take a deep dive. So does the self, Atman, have ignorance? Apparently so. But notice, here's a very subtle point. This light, this consciousness which I am, it illumines both knowledge and ignorance. What I mean by that, let me illustrate with a simple, very commonsensical, blunt example. Here I am the knower. And what do I know? I know all of you here in front of me. By know means I see all of you. So I have knowledge. And this is my experience, that I have knowledge. I have knowledge of all of you here. And I also have ignorance. I am not aware of what's back there. What's behind me right now, I don't see it. So I have that's also an experience. Know this. It's an experience to know that I know all of this. It's also clearly an experience that I do not know that. And it's something that we all experience. There are some things that we know, and there are lots that we don't know. And both are in our experience. I know. It's in my experience. I am ignorant. It's in my experience. I am the awareness in which this subject knows certain objects. I am the awareness in which this subject does not know certain objects. And it can change. If I turn my eyes around, I am the subject who knows this stuff. But I don't know this now. So, I know I am a knower. I do not know I am ignorant. Both are illumined by one consciousness. And a fundamental idea of Vedanta, principle of Vedanta is the knower and the known, the seer and the seen are different. The seer is different from the seen. So, these eyes are seeing the book. Clearly the eyes are different from the book. In fact, the eyes are different from whatever they see. In fact, the only thing the eyes cannot see are the eyes themselves. It cannot see themselves. It can only see something which is at a distance from the eyes. The seer and the seen are always different. The subject and the object are always different. The experiencer and the experienced are always different. Which means, follow this, what was our first result? I, the awareness. In me, I experience a subject knowing some objects. I, the awareness. In me, I experience a subject not knowing certain objects. In both cases, I am the seer. In that case, the objects are not only different from me, I am not only different from the objects, I am also different from the subject who knows, I am also different from the subject who does not know. Because I am the experiencer of the knower, I am the experiencer, illuminer of the ignorant one. I am different from the knower and the ignorant one. Seer and seen are different. Already a very subtle push has been given. We are situated as what? As the subject who knows or who does not know. That's what we feel like. Now we are being subtly pushed into a deeper position. I am the awareness in which there is a knowing subject and known objects. I am the awareness in which there is an ignorant subject and unknown objects. I am the awareness. And that awareness is distinct from the objects, is distinct from the subject also. Now, who has ignorance? Who has knowledge? The one who has ignorance is the one who will get knowledge. Who has ignorance? the subject, not the background awareness. The background awareness illumines the subject and enables the subject to have experiences and knowledge. I'm using words like background awareness and subject for the technical terms in Vedanta, which is Sakshi and Pramata. Sakshi, witness consciousness. Pramata, the knower. Yes, no doubt, it is the witness consciousness functioning through the mind and the senses which makes this subject a knower. But the witness consciousness by itself is distinct from, is untouched by the ignorance and also the knowledge of the knower. It illumines both the knowledge and the ignorance of the knower. Grasp it as an idea, but more powerfully, grasp it as a fact. Sit like this and look at it. In me, the awareness is this guy, is called Sarvapriyananda, and this person's mind, and this person's sense organs. And using the sense organs, this fellow knows some things. In me, the awareness. And in me, the awareness, this fellow does not know many things. This fellow has some knowledge, and this fellow has lots of ignorance. In me, the awareness. But as the experiencing awareness, as the illumining awareness, I am distinct from what is illumined. I am the seer, everything else is the seen. The objects are also the seen, and the subject is also the seen. And the subject's knowledge and ignorance are also the seen. So I am drashta, untouched by ignorance. The Atman does not have ignorance. In this one consciousness, where the knowing subject knows some objects, where the knowing ignorant subject does not know other objects, in this one consciousness, if you are ready to make the next leap, it's an even bigger leap. In this one consciousness, the subject and known and unknown objects, the subject with his knowledge and ignorance, and the known and unknown objects, they all appear and disappear in this one consciousness, which I am. Look at the grand vision. You are one awareness, one limitless awareness. I will tell you why I'm using words limitless. They each has, we can break it apart, analyze into profound philosophy. We'll see. In one limitless awareness appears this ocean of the universe. What do I mean? Let's break it down. You are this one awareness, this one consciousness which is not touched by ignorance. Sanskrit word, bring it in, ajñāna. Bring in the more profound Sanskrit word, maya. Maya appears but does not touch you, the consciousness. And to you, what appears? Desha, kala, vastu, space, time, objects. Here are people, living beings and non-living things. This objective universe. And this body, and the prana, and the mind, they are all objects which appear to consciousness. Where do they appear? In space, in time. And this time and this space and these objects, they all appear in consciousness. As the known and the unknown. You might say, no, this much only appears in consciousness. What's outside the Vedanta society is not appearing in consciousness. It is, as you just said, there is something outside this Vedanta society which I don't know. That's also an appearance in your consciousness. So as the known and the unknown, all objects, individual and totality of objects, individual and totality of all beings, appears in consciousness. Individual and totality of all space, limited time and totality of all time, they all appear in that one consciousness. I'm translating from the Sanskrit terms. Desha, kala, vastu, time, space, object. Samashti, vyashti, individual, total. Here is an individual in front of me. And here is the totality of individuals, not only here, around the world. Billions of people, billions and billions of living beings, animals and plants. And any number of entities, non-living things, starting from quarks and electrons up to quasars and galaxies. That is the objective totality. In Sanskrit, there's a word, samashti, totality. It's appearing in me, the consciousness. Through this one subject, part of it is known, most of it is unknown. But it's appearing in consciousness. All space, all time, and limited space and individual objects, they all appear in one consciousness. Desha kala vastu samashti vyashti. Samashti vyashti means totality, individuality. Not only that, in another way if you look at it, the physical universe, the subtle universe and the causal universe, in Sanskrit, sthula sukshma karana prapancha, it appears in this one consciousness. At the individual level, total level. Swami, you're losing us. No, look at our experience. The individual level, where is the physical body? Here. Where are you experiencing it? In consciousness. In my awareness, I'm experiencing this body. Where is the subtle body? Within you. The thoughts, feelings, emotions, ideas, that's called the Sukshma Sharira, the Antakarana, or if you want more technical details, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, that's the subtle body. It's appearing in consciousness. And the causal body, the seed state, but which we experience in deep sleep, that's also an experience in consciousness. So the physical, subtle, causal, sthula, sukshma, karana, appears in consciousness. This is the whole teaching of the Mandukya Upanishad, Turiya, the fourth. But not only just individual, totality, not just this one body, the physical universe. This is the total physical universe, sthula prapancha, appears in consciousness. There is a total causal universe which is the Hiranyagarbha, the cosmic mind. All subtle bodies together. It appears in consciousness. At this point someone might say, but I don't know other people's minds. Thank God. But what you mean I don't know is, again, you as the individual, you are saying, I, the subject, I know only this mind, I don't know other minds. And if I train myself in telepathy, I'll be able to know a few more minds, but still not everybody's mind. Yeah. So as an individual, I have knowledge and ignorance. But both known and unknown, the subtle universe appears in the consciousness. And beyond that is the causal universe, the Anandamaya Kosha in the individual case, and Maya for the entire cosmos. All of it appears in consciousness. Vyashti, samashti, individual totality, sthula, sukshma, karana, physical, subtle, causal, it appears in consciousness. And it disappears in consciousness. Bhava, abhava. The appearance of the physical, the subtle and the causal, and the disappearance of the physical, subtle and causal. Where? In deep sleep. In anesthesia. Maybe in coma. Disappears. Where? In consciousness. Consciousness does not disappear. It is the absence of the universe which is experienced as deep sleep. It is the experience of the absence of physical body, subtle body, which is experienced as deep sleep. I'm translating, everything I'm saying is just translating from Hindi, which I've heard here and there. And one sadhu is saying, Bole Babaji andhakar hai. Oh Father, Holy Father, huh? There's darkness, I see darkness. Ah, you see darkness. And the answer is so beautiful. Who sees darkness? It is those who are dazzled by objective experiences in the waking, by dreams and fantasies in the dreaming. When those disappear, they say darkness. It's not darkness. Just the objects have disappeared. My eyes are dazzled by people and talking and action and enjoyment and suffering. When it all stops, nothing. Not nothing. The objects have disappeared. That is called abhava, the absence of the objects. The presence of the universe and the absence of the universe both appear and disappear in one consciousness. They are all appearances and disappearances in one consciousness. Your waking world, your dream world, your deep sleep darkness are appearances and disappearances in one consciousness. That you are, Tattvamasi. That is the light. That light you are. What a dramatic, what an amazing vision. This is called the light of lights. Tattvamasi. This is the meaning of Aham Brahmasmi. I am the limitless light. I am the limitless existence. Hence non-dual. Because the physical, subtle and causal universes are mere appearances in consciousness. If it's an appearance, it's not different from consciousness. If it's not different, it cannot be a countable second, and therefore non-dual. So that one radiant light is non-dual. There is no second reality apart from it. Even when it's experiencing a solid physical universe, a subtle mental universe, and the blankness of deep sleep, when it's experiencing the presence and the absence, bhava abhava, of the individual person, viṣhṭhi, of the totality of all persons, samashti. In all cases, these are nothing different from that one light. It is that one light which you are, which is appearing to you as your universe. Why am I the light appearing in this way? For that, Vedanta has the answer, one word, Maya. And say, but then you have introduced two things. That light and Maya. No. Remember, Maya, the ignorance, does not touch you, the light. That's also an appearance. That's within the realm of appearance. That's the seed of the appearance. It's nothing to do with you. Did we not just say, in me appears the subject knowing the object, in me appears the subject ignorant of the object? Ignorance is an appearance in me. That which is appearing must be distinct from me, the seer. The seer is always distinct from the seen. Do I not illumine the ignorance? Yes. We'll see a little later. Light of all lights, forever beyond darkness. Which also means it's the light of not only all lights, it's the light of darkness also. It is the light of ignorance also, that which illumines ignorance. This is a grand view. You are that one Brahman right now. And I'll claim, if you can stay with the experience, all of this is experienceable right now. It's what's going on in this world. It's a description of your experience actually. It's not at all how we see it. That also is Maya. But it's the truth about ourselves right now. And if you see it, you'd obviously be free. Clearly this light does not die. We'll see that little later, when the time comes to lift our burden. But now, we thought all this is very difficult. It's going to get more difficult now. We go deeper. We go deeper. All of these are lights. I mentioned last time, whatever reveals something else is called a light. So this is called a light because it reveals. The room was in darkness, switch on this light, the room is revealed, is illumined. Therefore, this is a light. That's why we call it a light. This is a Vedantic understanding of light. But then everything else is a light. All these physical lights are lights. They said the voice is a light because in darkness there's no physical light. How do you locate somebody? Are you there? You shout, yes, I am here. So the voice was the light which revealed my presence. Senses are lights. The eyes. Actually, the eyes are the light of this light. If I close my eyes, the light will not do any good. You can still feel the light with your eyes closed. Right? It's a bright light. You can shine even through your closed eyelids. You feel a little brightness. That happened to me once. When I became a monk, it was 3 decades ago. About 3 days into my monkhood, 3 days, I became enlightened. How? So I was sitting in the morning, early morning and meditating. We had a tough monk who would look after the newcomers and make sure we got into the habit of getting up early in the morning and meditating. So I was sitting in the morning in the temple and meditating. It was maybe 5 o'clock or something like that, and dark outside. And then suddenly there was so much light. And I thought, already, that was fast. That was fast. Is this the light of all lights? And I opened my eyes and I saw that monk standing there, grim, tough Swami standing there with a flashlight. So in the darkness of the temple, he was going to each of the meditators and identifying who's turned up, like an attendance, So he'll know who's sleeping. And so he looked at me and said, oh, you are here, good. And then he went on to illumine the next one. So these are lights. But the light of that light is the eyes. And what's the light of the eyes? The light of the eyes, the light of the ears, the light of the nose and the tongue and the skin, the light of all the senses, you all know. It's the mind. Yes. All this information goes to the mind. Unless the mind is awake, suppose you're asleep. Some have mastered the art of sleeping with eyes open. It's very useful in class. So, the mind is the light of all the senses. It's only when the mind cognizes, then the sensory information becomes knowledge. Otherwise, the senses, ears are open. As one Swami would teach and say, you are here, but you do not hear. What happened? The light of the eyes is the mind. It's not attentive. Now, what is the light of the mind? Consciousness. So consciousness, what is the light of consciousness? No. Consciousness is self-luminous. Again, these are things which have been argued out. What do you mean self-luminous? Very subtle, difficult book. It's called Chitsukhi, written by Chitsukhacharya about 900 years ago. And there this question is raised. Oh, so light of lights is consciousness. What do you mean it's the light of... So what light illumines consciousness? You don't need a light. Consciousness is self-revealing. Self-revealing, for example, as an example, this light, of course, is ultimately not self-revealing, but this light will illumine everything else, and you don't need to switch on another light to illumine this. You need to switch it on to reveal everything in the room, but to reveal this light, you don't need another light. It will reveal itself. In that sense, this is of course an example, because ultimately it doesn't reveal itself unless your eyes are open. In that sense, consciousness is really, this is the only thing which is the light of lights, which is self-revealing. But the ancient philosophers were sharp cookies. They won't let it go. What do you mean self-revealing? Define self-revelation. What's the precise definition of self-luminosity? And then they have definitions, definition after definition. Each definition is cut down by the opponents in that book, Chitsukhi. 11 definitions are given. The 11th one is accepted. So, I'm resisting the temptation to go down that particular rabbit hole. Then it'll derail the whole class. All right. So everything is a light. All of these are lights. Mind is a light. Language is a light. There are things which you cannot express without the help of language. And there's a lot of discussion on this. Do different languages enable you to express things differently? Or is each language perfectly translatable into the other? So one idea is that it's not translatable. Another idea is it is translatable. Maybe you can't do it, but in principle it is translatable. Another idea is no, each language reveals things differently, therefore each language sort of generates its own coating over reality. So they say language is the knife with which you cut the cake of reality. How you cut it differs. So language is a light. But the light of language also is consciousness, is awareness. Awareness is the light of lights. Just by the way, footnote, if you're curious, what was the ultimate definition of 11th definition of self-luminosity? Avedyatve sati aparoksha vyavahara yogyatvam. Not being an object of knowledge and yet being capable of direct luminosity. Actually, direct usage, aparoksha vyavahara. You are directly aware of yourself as being aware, and yet that awareness can never become an object of any other source of knowledge. It's a very elegant and powerful definition, especially if you see it in experiential terms. You'll say, yeah, that's right. I, the awareness, I'm directly aware of myself, and yet I can't say how I'm aware of myself. It's not an object. Did I see myself? Did I hear myself? Did I read about myself? Did I find myself within a microscope or a telescope? Did I do an experiment to establish my own existence? No. And yet I'm... The more you think about it, the more it will give you a headache. So, aparoksha vyavahara yogyatvam, capable of direct usage. All right. So, these are all lights. But you are the light of lights. That means you, the consciousness, are distinct from the eyes. You, the consciousness, are distinct from the light called the ears, the light called the skin, the light called the nose, light called the tongue. This is very odd language I'm using, but you mean in the sense of revealing. But you are distinct from all of them. You are the consciousness distinct from the mind and the intellect. These are all constructs through which you shine, but you are distinct from them. You are only one and non-dual. So one consciousness, distinct from all these others. You must know yourself as you truly are. How poetically they say, it says, "O you, the son of consciousness, withdraw your powerful rays from these other apertures, the eyes, the ears, the nose, the skin, the tongue, from the mind, from language. Withdraw your rays and see yourself as this one light. I am Chit, I am Chaitanya." Shankaracharya sings, "Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham." What does he sing? I am consciousness, I am Shiva. And before that he has withdrawn. Mano buddhyahankara chittani naham. I am not the mind, not the intellect, not the memory, not the ego. Nacha shrotra jibhe, nacha grana netri. I am not the ears, I am not the eyes. All of these are lights. Not them, not them. I am not the eyes or the skin or the nose or whatever. Nacha bhumi, na vayu, na tejo, na vanni. I am not the five elements, the physical body made of the five elements. Then only, having withdrawn, I see myself as consciousness only. Not as thought, not as sensation, not as memory, not as ego. They're all lights, but I'm not on any of them. I am consciousness only. Then only he has the right to say, I am consciousness and bliss I am. Chidananda Rupa, Shivoham, Shivoham. Withdraw your light and see yourself as you are, as this one unwavering light, unflickering light. You are the light of all these lights. But here, now reverse it. Having withdrawn, O son of consciousness, having withdrawn your rays, now scatter your rays across the universe. It is only you, that one light of consciousness, shining through the construct called the mind. You become the mind, the light called the mind, which thinks, understands, intellect. It is only you, shining through the construct called the eyes. You become the light called the eyes, which sees. It is only you, that one consciousness, shining through the construct called the auditory system. You have become the light which hears. Having withdrawn your rays, now scatter it across the universe. Through the mind, through the ears, through the eyes, nose, tongue, through the skin, through language, through thought. It is only one light which is shining, even down to this physical light. It is only consciousness shining. What a tremendous thing to say. So, though this light is not consciousness shining, but isn't it? Let me give you one example given in the Upanishads. By what light is the world of dreams lit up? The world of your dreams, is it a dark world or do you find it difficult to see? It's so dark. It must be dreaming. No, it's well lit. Why? Well, there's the sun in the sky, that's why. Well, there is the light, I've switched on the light in the room, that's why. Is that true? Is the world of dreams lit up by the sun and the electric light? No, it's lit up by the mind. There's only one light in the dream world. Isn't it the mind only? It is the mind which imagined the dream world. And it's the mind which provides the illumination. Illumination there means knowing. But of course, the brightness there. All experience, all light in the dream world is just the mind by itself. What is the physical light which illumines the garden in the dream world? That sun which is shining. What is that sun? What is that light coming from the sun? It's mind. Are you with me or are you thinking it's all crazy talk? What I'm saying is just a description of fact as you know it and as you accept it. Nobody argues with this. I'm just redescribing it in Vedantic terms. What is the light which illumines the dream, the garden in the dream? Not the garden of your dreams, the garden in your dream. This is sunlight, but that sunlight is nothing other than the mind. What is the light which illumines the music, beautiful music you hear in the dreams? Mind. not the ears. Because the ears are not really there in the dream, nor are there any sound waves in the dream. It's only mind. It's mind which has designed the person in the dream with the ears and the music which you are hearing in the dream. What is the light with which you taste the most brilliant flavors, beautiful flavors? Gourmet cuisine in the dream. What light? Is it the tongue? No, it's the mind. I had that experience once. I was very sick on an IV drip for 15 days. I hadn't eaten for 15 days. And nothing. Even water I would throw up. So then I had the strangest dreams. Food. The most delicious things which I'd eaten and loved as a kid, which I'd completely forgotten. But see, the mind has not forgotten. The subconscious mind retains amazing memories, which you would never, only under pressure, when the physical organism is traumatized or dying or something like that, things come up. So I can truly believe that at the moment of death, all your life flashes by. I can believe it. I saw so vividly. And the interesting thing is, if food. Interesting thing is, if you had bought those food and woken me up, here, have this food. You want it so much. I would have thrown up. The physical body cannot take it, does not even want it. It's the mind which wants it. By what light is the mind? Are you tasting the food in the dream? So vivid, so delicious. It's the mind. It is the mind, although it doesn't feel like that. Actually, notice how vivid it is. In the dream, it doesn't feel like I am seeing the mind, I am hearing the mind, I am tasting the mind. It's silly. I am seeing with sunlight, I am hearing music, I am tasting delicious food. That's what it feels like in the dream. It is the mind functioning through the construct called the eyes, dream construct called the eyes, which sees the dream construct called the light in the dream, forms in the dream. It is the mind alone with the dream construct called the ears, which you hears the music generated by the mind alone. It is the mind alone with the dream construct of the tongue, which experiences the food in the dream food. What is the one light? All the lights in the dream, they're one light, the dreaming mind. Understood? This is an example. Remember, there's nothing controversial about this example. Now apply it here. The Upanishad says, all the light in the world is your light. You're not only the light of lights, but you are all lights. It is you, the consciousness, shining through the mind, the construct called the mind. You become the light called thought, intellect, understanding. It is you, the consciousness, shining through the construct called the construct. I'm using the word, the technical word in Vedanta is upadhi. Using the construct called the eyes, you become the light which is seeing. You, the same consciousness, which you are there right now. Shining through the ears, you hear. Shining through the tongue, you taste. Shining through the skin, you touch. And what you see, hear, smell, taste, touch, they are all also constructs appearing in consciousness, just like the dream construct, like the dream food, like the dream music, like the dream flowers, like the dream sunlight. And yes, even the sunlight in the dream and the moonlight in the dream, are they not the dreaming mind? Now listen. In the Gita, Krishna says, the light of the sun and the light of the moon, they are my teja, my light, my radiance. Literally, it's true. Doesn't seem like that. Literally, it's true. That light, which is apart from all the other lights, which is the light of lights, but that light, which is also every other light, from whom no light is apart. Notice, it can be expressed powerfully in Sanskrit. In English, you have to struggle. You, the light, are apart from everything that you illumine and all the other lights also. So you're the light of lights. You're apart from them. But what you illumine and the light of all the other lights, they are not apart from you. Just like all the lights in the dream are not apart from the dreaming mind. The dreaming mind is apart from all of them. But they don't exist without the dreaming mind. Similarly here, none of these lights exist without you. Although they seem very different. The eyes seem very different from consciousness. The tongue seems very different from consciousness. Language seems very different or somewhat different from consciousness. The mind seems very close to consciousness, but still different. But they are all nothing but consciousness through these constructs. So none of these lights, oh light of light, none of these lights is different from you. There's only one light in this universe. You are it, appearing in a million radiant forms, different lights. You are not only the light of lights, you are all lights. They are all the other lights are your light. This is the non-duality of light. Let's give it a name today. Jyoti-advaitam. Jyotiṣhām api tad jyoti. It's the light of light. Jyoti means radiance or light. Jyoti-advaitam. This is epistemological non-dualism. By analysis of our experience, analysis of our knowledge, we come to non-dualism. What's the ultimate reality of this universe? It is light. This, yes, even this. Because this is nothing other than you, the ultimate light, the consciousness itself. Just as the light in the dream is nothing other than the dreaming mind. Even the so-called, quote-unquote, physical light in the dream. Now we understand. Kena Upanishad question. Those who are studying Kena Upanishad, you will relate it immediately. What was the question? What is that one light which lights up my thoughts, my speech, my eyes, and my ears? Keneshitam patati preshitam mana kena prana pratama prayeti yukta keneshitam vachamimam vadanti chakshushrotram kahudeva yunakti. By inspired by what? Illumined by what light? Do my thoughts, do I have these thoughts? Illumined by what light do my eyes see, my ears hear? Illumined by what light does this speech speak, this tongue speak? Not just sense organs, motor organs also. Illumined by what light do I breathe in and I breathe out? Taittiriya Upanishad, what beautiful language. Kah anyat, kah anyat. Who would breathe in? Who would breathe out for even one moment? Yadiyesha akasha anandana syat. If this radiant sky of bliss were not there, which means you are the radiant sky of bliss. Kah anyat, kah pranyat. Who breathes in, who breathes out even once? Because that breathing in and breathing out also is that light only. Other than that light is, it's like breathing in and breathing out in dream. Who would breathe in and who would breathe out in a dream if the dreaming mind were not there? The whole dream would disappear into a black hole the moment you wake up. Okay. So, this is in Vedanta, there's a name, Akhanda Jyoti, Akhanda Chaitanya, unbroken light. Tattvamasi, you are that. Tamasaḥ param uchyate. The whole sentence was, we have done only half of it now. Jyotiṣhām api tad jyoti. Tamasaḥ param uchyate. It is the light of all lights, and it is beyond darkness. It is said to be beyond darkness, said to be beyond all darkness. Let's come to darkness now. We're coming close to so far it is just one thing, that how is it light? It is enlightenment. What constitutes enlightenment? Next we'll see lighting, becoming lighter. But right now darkness. So beyond all darkness, what is darkness? So you will be surprised. In Vedanta, there is a lot of discussion of darkness. Tama, the nature of darkness. Is darkness simply an absence? Or is darkness something positive? And they have the common sense idea also. Prauda prakasha bhava. The logicians will say, darkness is the absence of bright light. They don't even say all light. Generally, it's not the absence of all light. Darkness is the absence of bright light, of explicit light. Literally, it means prauda prakasha bhava means explicit light. That's darkness. So I put my hand in there. Oh, so when I was sitting in meditation, there was not really completely dark in the meditation hall. But the bright light which came when the Swami flashed the flashlight on my face. Before that, I was seeing darkness. It's not really darkness. It's a lack of intense light or bright light or explicit light. All right. But the discussions are deeper. Is there any positive force or positive power called darkness? Now you might say, this sounds like a silly discussion. Darkness is like close my eyes, that's darkness. What is there to philosophize about this? But no, it's not just physical darkness they're talking about. Ignorance. Is ignorance an absence of knowledge, or is it a positive something? Is it just no knowledge? That's ignorance. Or does it have its own existence apart from no knowledge? What do you mean? I mentioned earlier, that was the theme of 21st century, new school, a conference here. Conference was on ignorance. The unknown or on the unknowable. The unknown, unknowable in physics, in mathematics. Cutting edge mathematics, Gödel's theorem. That was the topic of discussion. It's all about the unknowable. Ignorance. In physics, what is not knowable? What is unknown and unknowable? But also in history, in literature. So it was a whole workshop went on for 2 or 3 days with scholars from all over the world. Talking about what? Scholars, people, masters of knowledge. Talking about what? Ignorance. And I did not know, there is a whole field called ignorance studies. Yes. And they were surprised. They are going to publish an encyclopedia of ignorance. The more you read it, more ignorance. Yes, I think by now it might have been published already. Rutledge was going to publish, I think. The lady who's professor from England, she told me about it. And she was surprised to find there's a tremendous amount of discussion on ignorance in Indian philosophy. Books and books are written on ignorance. Darkness. So darkness is not a light thing to discuss. What is the nature of darkness? What is the nature of not knowing? In fact, it's because of ignorance, Vedanta would say, all of this has come. We don't know our real nature. That's why we are in samsara. So, insight into darkness is the light of lights is not only the light of lights, it's also the light of darkness. What do you mean by that? Earlier we had seen a bit of it. I am the light which is aware of the subject in ignorance. I am the light which is aware of the subject in knowledge. I am the light in which the subject and the object and the knowledge shines. I am the light in which the subject, ignorant subject, and the ignorance of the subject and the unknown object shines. So I am the light of ignorance also. See, this physical light cannot light up darkness. If the room is dark, if you try to switch on the light, will you be able to see darkness? No. Darkness will run away. The moment you switch on light, darkness runs away. But consciousness is the light which can illumine darkness also. Right now, you're aware of this room well lit up. Switch off all lights, it's dark. You'll be aware of the darkness. That's a very simple example. But consciousness is the light of not only all lights, it's also the light of darkness. Jyoti. Param jyoti. It is the light of darkness also. It's that which reveals knowledge, it's that which reveals ignorance. And therefore it is not touched by knowledge or ignorance. It is that in which all subjects appear and all objects appear and all knowledge and all ignorance appears and changes and disappears. That one unwavering light, that is called the light of lights. Tamasaḥ param uchyate. Of course, we discussed the actual meaning of it. It's beyond ignorance, so it is pure consciousness. It is beyond suffering and death. It's beyond. So that's the meaning of being beyond all darkness. It's beyond the cycle of birth and death. It is moksha. It's freedom. So beyond all darkness. Now, let me come to the last part. Feeling lighter. We're all very overburdened with light. Too much of light today. Let's feel lighter. What does Vedanta say? That there is ignorance and knowledge will solve that ignorance for us. Knowledge will come and remove that ignorance. The way they put it in Hindi, let me just quote and then translate. Because the Hindi is very direct and powerful. So he's saying, Mahatma ji, kya lagta hai main mar jaunga? Do you feel you're going to die? Be honest. Do you feel I'm going to die? क्या आपको लगता है मैं अज्ञानी हूँ? Do you feel that I am ignorant? क्या आपको लगता है कि मैं दुखी हूँ? Do you feel I am unhappy? At least sometimes. और क्या आपको लगता है मैं परिच्छिन्न हूँ? I am limited. I am just one among many. I am this one person and there are billions of other persons. I am this tiny creature in this vast universe. I am this limited, born now and dead tomorrow in this eternal universe, or like timeless kind of universe. Do you feel that? Do you feel limited? And if you say yes to all four, and they are very direct, they say, ये तो मूर्खता है महात्मा जी. This is foolishness. This is stupidity. If you suffer from these four forms of stupidity, I am going to die. I am ignorant. I am unhappy. And I am a limited being. If you suffer from these four forms of stupidity, then the medicine is Vedanta for you. It will remove these four forms of stupidity, these four forms of ignorance. And then what will it show you? You cannot, Vedanta will show you, you cannot die. You are that immortal light, which is not born, which never dies, which never changes. You are Sat, you are Chit. Therefore, you cannot die. Vedanta will show that to you right now. Ignorance, you are not ignorance. You are that light which illumines the knowing subject and which illumines the ignorant subject also. You are untouched by ignorance. You are always consciousness. What is meant by that is, if you say, I do not know, that is something you can never say for yourself. Vedanta tells you that these are three things you cannot say about yourself. What is it? That I don't exist. You can't say it. And I don't know. I don't know. You can't say it. You say, but I can say it. I don't know many things, but that's also known to you. I don't know in an absolute sense, that I don't know anything at all. It's completely dark. But if you say completely dark, that also is known to you. You cannot be other than light. That's what is meant by, you can't say, I don't know. You can't say that. And then that I am limited. No. You know what is within the limit, you know the limit itself, you know what's on the other side of the limit. You're like water. Water, you cannot say I'm limited to one wave. Because you know yourself, in the moment you know you are water, you are in this wave, you are in the next wave, and you are in the border between the two waves also. Where is your limit? Where is the limit of consciousness? Because space appears in consciousness, time appears in consciousness, object, personhood appears in consciousness. The beginning and end of everything appears in consciousness. If beginning and end appears, if the limits appear, then what's on the other side of the limits also is appearing in consciousness. So, you can't see it. These are the foolishnesses which Vedanta will cure. And Vedanta will show you, you are immortal. You are Sat, Chit. You can never be not knowing. You can never be ignorant in the absolute sense. Temporary ignorance is the individual can have. The subject can be ignorant of certain things. There is no knowledge at all, no awareness at all, that you can never say. You are Chit, that's why. I am unhappy. Right? Apriyo aham. I am unhappy to myself. Settle yourself in your nature as Sat and Chit and see if you are unhappy. No, you can't say that. You will have to reduce yourself to a subject who has got certain objective and subjective problems, then you can claim I'm unhappy. But as the witness of that subject and the object, as that light in which the subject and the subject grumbles and the objective universe which the subject is grumbling about, the whole thing appears and disappears. That light has nothing to do with those grumbles. And limited. I am limited. No, you are not limited. You are this limitless consciousness where there is no space limitation, time limitation, object limitation. Desha kala vastu aparichinna chit prakasha of light, which is not limited. In that light itself space appears. In that light itself time appears. In that light itself all the objects, living, non-living, this entire universe appears. Dream example. Again, just apply dream example and import it into this waking life. Therefore, rejoice. Immortality is yours as that light. All knowledge. You are forever beyond darkness. There is no ignorance, no darkness will ever touch you. You are always light. No unhappiness will touch you. You cannot say, I am dukhi, I am unhappy, I the light, I am miserable. No. I the light has to shine through this mind, be identified with this body, forget that I am light, and then take on the ills of the body and mind, and then claim I am miserable. Even shining through the body and mind, as long as you are aware that you are the light, you can't claim I am miserable. You can then claim two things. You can, on one side, acknowledge the pain of the body, the suffering in the mind, at the same time look at the limitless light that you are and say, I am free, I am fine. You can be like Sri Ramakrishna, who was asked, when dying of cancer, do you feel it? How are you today? He says, it hurts. I can't eat. He's acknowledging the problem of the body. He's acknowledging the unhappiness in the mind because of the body. No, that's not true actually. He's acknowledging the problem of the body. And then the person who asked, Hari Maharaj, he said, but I see that you are in great bliss. He said, oh, the rascal has found me out. How? How am I in great bliss? That light itself which I am great bliss itself. And I am limitless, aparichinna. It's this one non-dual light. Jyoti-advaitam. We have invented a new term today. Light non-duality. The non-duality of radiance. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu. Okay, if you have some questions, they'll come to you and they'll come with the basket also. Yes, tell us your question. Yes. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
There's the microphone. Tell us your name and ask the question.
My name is Natalie. You were talking about epistemological non-dualism.
Yes.
But if I understand correctly, you're also making an ontological claim,
Yes.
presenting consciousness as an ontological primitive, like,
Yes.
for example, Bernardo Kastrup also does.
Yes.
But in one of your lectures on the Mandukya Upanishad, I think you said that Vedanta is not entirely incompatible with realism.
Yes.
That would me. Could you maybe explain what you meant?
That Vedanta is not entirely incompatible with realism. Yes. So Vedanta, what Vedanta does is, it takes you from our common sense worldview to the realization that that the reality is existence, consciousness, bliss. Or in the language which you put it, that consciousness is ontological. It's an ontological primitive. It is the ontological primitive, the ultimate ontological primitive. From this view to that view, it's supposed to take us. Now, whatever it does on the way is a method. It's a pedagogical method. So, right now, if it is helpful for the student to adopt a realistic worldview, then Vedanta will start with the realistic worldview. And in Vedanta, this is called Srishti Drishti Vada. Creation first, the world is there, and then we come to objectify it in consciousness. And then step by step it will take you. So it will tell you, is this world really there, independent of me, independent of mind and consciousness? Yes, yes, of course it's there. Just like the common sense, the way you feel it. Oh, how did it come to be there? Well, God, Brahman, with the power of Maya, projected space, and from space projected the fire and air and fire and water and earth. And with a mixture of those, the worlds were formed, bodies were formed, even the subtle elements were formed which constitute our minds. And in this way it will start. And step by step it will take us back with a very realistic worldview. But for those who are ready, so this is a long way. It will take you to the scenic route. And it includes quite a bit of faith and belief. There is a power which projected the universe really from consciousness. This power is projected. And we will take you back to the experience of yourself as this limitless light, but starting with a realistic worldview. But for those students who are ready, they'll start with an idealistic worldview. That no, this world is actually dream-like. They will use the dream metaphor. Not that there is a physical world which has actually been created. Not that the world is mind-independent or consciousness-independent entirely. No. Starting from there, it will take you back to one non-dual existence, consciousness, bliss. For even more advanced students, it will not even refer to the world. Look around you. It's an ocean of existence awareness. You are it. Finished. Yes. So you have three levels. The first one is a realistic worldview, where realistic approach is welcome. Prima facie, temporarily, step one, that is called Srishti Drishti Vada. Creation first, then experience. World first, and then the knower. Then the next level is the Drishti Srishti Vada. It's experience first, and in that experience the world appears, like dreams. Third, it goes even further, Ajata Vada, non-origination theory. The world didn't originate at all. But what is this I'm saying? Unimportant question. Why? Because existence, the light, that's most obvious. Once it's most obvious, what does it matter what appears and disappears in it? Whatever appears and disappears in it is that light. Whatever appears and disappears in the mind is the dream, is the dreaming mind. Whatever appears and disappears in the dream is the mind, dreaming mind only. Therefore, why this happened in the dream, why that happened in the dream, who was this person in the dream, and what is that thing in the dream, and what is the causality? The only worthwhile thing to know about the dream from a philosophical perspective, not from a therapist's perspective, from a philosopher's perspective, is it's a dream. It's mind only. Similarly, it's consciousness only. Now notice, taking the waking world as a model, if you try to explain Advaita, you will get the realistic approach to Advaita, which is Srishti Drishti. Taking the dream world as a model, if you try to explain Advaita, you will get the Drishti Srishti, the idealistic approach to Advaita. Taking the deep sleep model of reality, if you try to explain Advaita, you will get the non-origination theory. There is no corresponding model in philosophy for that, this non-origination of Gaudapada. Which of them is true? None of them. They are all models, they are all paths, they are all pedagogical. They are not meant to be ontological claims. The only ontological claim is consciousness, and that also, Advaitins say, once you have realized it, let go. Is it consciousness? Let go of that word. It's still a construct. Once you have found it, once the burden has been lifted, enlightened, all the techniques, the insights you gained earlier, let it go, because you have found the reality. You have moved from the menu to the dinner. Here, of course, you are the dinner yourself. You have moved from reading about it in the menu, discussing it, and designing a better menu. So these are three different menus which point you to the dinner. Once you've got the dinner, you get into it, you can throw away the menu. Or if you want to enjoy the dinner, you want to consider the menu. Oh, this is such and such. I didn't know it has such a fancy name. Drishti Srishti Vada. Good. Yes. Yes, can you pass on the microphone? Tell us your name and ask the question.
So, my name is Jayant. Swamiji, we have this, when you say the enlightening the burden is in all the conditioning of the subconscious mind.
Yes.
And we can work either with subconscious mind conditioned and egoic manifestation, or we have conscious mind and do the conscious manifestation. But in both the cases, that ahankar that keeps all these five elements and intellect, everything together is required. So that sense of self is required in both these cases.
Yes.
And then when I say like I am enlightened, still I am going to work from the conscious mind and sense of self will be there.
Yes.
And when I say that I am consciousness and in my awareness this is appearing, still the sense of self is there.
Yes.
So how do I reverse it? Like in the awareness, I am appearing as conscious and conscious unconditioned mind, or subconscious conditioned mind. So how do I reverse this?
I'm not going to answer the last part because I don't understand what you asked. But before that, after the question itself, I think I followed what you were asking. See, you need not be worried, because the I, the ego, it can, I mentioned this earlier, there are three referents for the ego. Panchadashikara says this, that there's a sense in which we ordinary people use the word I, the ego. It refers to only one thing, the body mind, including the conscious and the unconscious mind. The enlightened persons use the word I also, but in two other senses. For them it means two things which is different from this I, for what we mean. What does I mean for the enlightened person? He says I primarily means consciousness for the enlightened person. One might ask here, how can I be consciousness? I is a function of the mind. Yes, but the I is a pointer. It's like a signboard. The signboard says, this is Central Park West. Is the signboard Central Park West? No. It's pointing to Central Park West. It can be a tiny signboard. It can point to Broadway. Similarly, the I is a signboard which points to pure consciousness for the enlightened one. I is very much part of the mind, but it points to pure consciousness. For the us, it points to this body-mind. This body, mind with conscious mind, subconscious mind, all of this is a bundle called I. And the second use of the word I, ego, for the enlightened one is this body-mind, just like us. So Sri Ramakrishna can say, it hurts, I can't eat. But he switches immediately. He says, I am in great bliss. He doesn't say that. Somebody pointed it out. He says, this rascal has found me out. So, we can't switch like that. So, the second use of the I to refer to the body-mind is different from our use of the I to refer to the body-mind. They are secondarily, knowingly using it. They are not trapped in it. So, the enlightened one, you the light, functioning through the construct of body-mind. You see, settle yourself in the light and look at the body-mind, you'll see it's a construct. It's not you. And functioning through the body-mind, you can happily claim, I am this. And I am talking, walking, eating, going here and there. All of it will be true. But you are aware of the vaster background, which the ordinary person is not aware anymore. I mean, it's sort of hidden for that person. Yes, can you pass down, can you give the microphone to him? And then we'll take one question there and stop.
Swamiji, I apologize in advance if my question sounds a little...
Tell us your name.
My name is Akshaj.
Akshaj.
And it's not reverent. My question is this, then why do we need God? They say, okay, God knows everything and all that. I think in my life, it's like when I've associated myself with my mind and I'm miserable, then I'll go begging in front of God. Or if I'm wrongly associating both the times, and if I'm happy, I'm like, thank you, God. But do we need God, or do we need to pray at all?
Do we need it? You're asking for a practical perspective in our day-to-day life, or from a practical perspective in our spiritual life? In both ways?
Both ways.
Both ways. Answer is a strong yes. But if you're asking philosophically, from this Advaita which we were talking about, Jyoti Advaita, non-dual light.
Yes.
Do we need God? The answer is, will be a nuanced no. Because if you really take a stand and see what it really means, then you are that reality. Then the Akshaj who says, should I believe in God or should I not believe in God, becomes irrelevant to you, to Akshaj himself. The person Akshaj, who is the consciousness shining through the construct of that mind and body, that can have a valid question. Should I believe in God or not? Do I need God or not? And there can be answers to that. But the light in itself does not have this question also. So it's a nuanced no, it does not need that question. However, now if you're from an enlightened perspective, you know that non-dual consciousness, the non-dual light, the non-duality of light, you have known that, you understand that, you firmly believe it also. To some extent, it feels more and more real to you. Now, when you come back as Akshaj, you feel quite well settled in this body-mind and clearly feel to some extent, at least the world appears different from you. You know philosophically it's not different from you. It's an appearance in you, the consciousness, but it appears different from you. If you go around saying to everybody, you're all me, instead of calling people by the name, if you just start calling people me, they'll lock you up. So you behave just like everybody else. In that case, you still know about the non-dual light. You know what happens then? Then that non-dual light, you will see very quickly the understanding of God which you come through theistic religions that quickly matches that non-dual light which you have understood. It becomes God for you. Hanuman, what a beautiful, it is exactly the same thing he says. He says, as that non-dual light, O Ramachandra, you are I am you. But as Hanuman, you are my master, I am your servant. Deha buddhya dasoham, as the body, as Hanuman, I am servant, you are my Lord. There's no doubt about it. There is a difference of heaven and hell between us. Now about Hanuman I will not say hell, so heaven and earth between us. And as jiva buddhya twadangshaka, as a sentient being, I am part of you. This is viṣhṭhadvaita, part and whole relationship. We are of the same nature. You are light, I am light, but I am a spark. Upanishad uses this language also. As from a well-lit bonfire, 1,000 sparks emerge. So from Brahman we all emerge. But we are all sparks. We are all conscious. We are of the same nature as Brahman. But we are parts. We are tiny. Brahman is full. But as that non-dual light, he says, Atma Buddhya, as that light, that non-dual light, Tvamevaham, you are I. And only you are I. I am not body, not mind, not these constructs. They all appear and disappear. They are just appearances in me, the light. They are nothing other than the light. See, from this perspective, those who affirm that Jagat Satyam, world is real, they are also immediately affirming I am body. You cannot affirm the world is real when you say I am light. Then you must affirm that the world which appears to you is an appearance in that light, or even more correctly, is that light itself. You can't say Jagat Satyam in the sense people talk about the Jagat. One Swamiji like that, he says, are you affirming Jagat Satyam, world is real? You say, yes. Would you say Samsara Satyam? Samsara is real? If so, then you are a samsari. If Samsara is Satyam, Samsara is real, then you are a samsari. You are here in this samsara, then what else are you? You forget, you have not even begun your spiritual life. So, you can begin by saying, world is real and there is God. Then spiritual life has begun. This is dualism. Or, world, I and God are of the same nature of reality. But we are different from each other. That is qualified non-dualism. The differences also are not logically tenable. It's one limitless. It's water on that side, water on this side. Between me and the universe, there's no difference. Totapuri explained this to Sri Ramakrishna. Totapuri said, look, here I put a stick in the Ganga. On this side of the stick and on that side of the stick. The stick is the ego. The moment I lift the stick, it's water and water. But it was always water and water. It's an illusion of separateness. I, the ego, are immediately, this body and mind is separate from everything else. I am this is separate. If I'm not the ego, I'm this one limitless light, then that side and this side, even when the ego is there, I know it to be one. So even enlightened persons can and do worship God. They know that I am the same, like Hanuman. I am the same as you. And yet, in their form as Hanuman, I am the servant, you are the master. In their form as Ramakrishna, I am the child and you are the mother. Yes.
So when we are associating with the body and mind, then we have that bhakti bhav.
You can if you want. So some non-dualists can have it. They can function, they can do dualistic bhakti as well as, or even better than the dualists. Why? The dualists are always infected with doubt. The non-dualist has no doubt at all.
Okay.
Yeah. Dualist also may say, no, I have no doubt. But that's the emotion in that voice. I have no doubt. I firmly believe.
Bit of ego as well.
That's the mind and the emotion playing there. Through long practice, I have no doubt. I have great faith.
Okay.
But it can be shaken. The question will come up. For the non-dualist, even the question which doubts it proves the existence of that light. Yeah.
Thank you.
We'll pass it back. Yes.
Swamiji, I understand the concept of Sakshi
Yes.
as I can even practically say, okay, I'm thinking about this, my thoughts are not me. But when you say that it is the ultimate consciousness,
Yes.
at that leap, how does
Yes,
one
yes.
get to?
So that's a big
Because-
one. Dwell on it. And how will you dwell on it? Use the dream example. I understand after waking up that I was the dreamer and I am separate from everything in the dream. But notice, nothing in the dream is separate from me. I was in fact appearing as everything in the dream. All the people in the dream, all the living beings, non-living beings in the dream. Indeed, even as Shabari in the dream, I alone, the real Shabari, was appearing like that. Notice how the mind is the witness of the dream, but is also everything in the dream. Now apply it here. Me, the consciousness, I am the witness of everything, but also I am everything. Until you complete that, what will happen is, see, one thing I didn't mention, that, oh, son of consciousness, withdraw your rays from everything and see yourself as light only. They are all lights. Eyes are light, mind is the light, language is light, but you are the light of all lights. Withdraw. But then what was said? Scatter your light into every light. All lights are you only. Non-dual light. Advaitam of light. Why? Why can you not remain only as the witness? Why must you become everything? Must appear as, see everything as your own appearance, not different from you? Because if you do nisheda only, neti only, not this, I am the witness of everything, a trace of ego limitation will remain, which will tie you to this body, mind as Shabari. If in the dream, for example, I only understand I am the witness of the dream and everything else exists as it is, I am something apart from all this. First of all, I become smaller. Then there are a million things in the dream which I am not. They are all separate from me. It's gross dualism. And also, there is this body here in this dream, the Shabari body and the Shabari mind, which I realize I am the witness of, but it's really there. Earlier, I was sucked into it as one person. That option remains open. I will still relate specially to that Shabari body mind. Because I am the witness of the body mind, and through that I am the witness of a big real universe. But the moment you realize this universe does not exist, the Shabari body mind does not exist, I, the dreamer, I have become the dream universe and the dream Shabari also. Then oneness is established. Then you have no fear at all. Even in the dream, you can be relaxed. Everything is you.
So, Swamiji, in theory, I can understand when you take the calorie of the river and the stick, or
no, but
a wave of the ocean.
Not in theory.
No,
stay with the dream example.
Right.
The dream is not a theory. Dream is something that you experience. See, there are two ways of understanding anything, not just Advaita. There is what is called, I'm borrowing from Elon Musk. You may or may not, this nothing to do with Doge. He says it long before Doge. But he says that there are two ways. He was asked, how did you come up with these ideas, some breakthroughs in technology? He said, he said, after long thinking, I found there are basically two ways of understanding anything. One is first principles thinking, another is analogical thinking. Now, analogical thinking, using examples, is easy to understand. But you can never make a real discovery using analogical thinking. Now, in Advaita Vedanta, the advantage is the discovery has already been made for us. That's why Upanishads, in that special sense that Upanishad is scripture, Veda is scripture, is pramana, because it's already a discovery which is being communicated to us. You don't have to reinvent Tesla battery. It's done already. So you don't need the first principles thinking. That is there in Advaita Vedanta. You will find it in Adhyasa Bhashya, for example, in the introduction to the Brahma Sutras. That's why it's so difficult. But it's without referring to examples, metaphors, just direct reasoning into it. But it's much easier if you use analogical thinking. So Vedanta uses these analogies to point out something which is already available to you. It's already available to you. You, the light, are already there. The dream example will only unlock it for you. So stay with the dream example. See how it can be possible. I am everything. While experiencing myself as a subject, experiencing an object, I am also these objects. Similarly, come back to this waking world and see how is it possible, I, the witness. I can argue this out with you. It'll take time. But notice, ask yourself the question, I am the witness. This question, for example, it'll unlock it. I am the witness. These are witnessed objects. I am different from everything that is witnessed. These objects, this body, this mind, even this thought, even the ego Shabari, I am different from all of them. I am different from the objects. I am the witness of them. Now ask the question, what is the relationship between those objects and you? You are different from the objects, you have understood. Now ask the question, are those objects different from me? Means, do they exist apart from me? Consider this question. Then it will begin to dissolve. Take your time. This is a big, big leap. But this is Advaita. What you have said, witness of the universe, that is Sankhya. It's not Advaita, because it's still two.
Yes.
Yes.
And on a lighter note, I just want to ask, why is it that everything profound is written in verse and not prose? This is a light question.
No, many of the things are written in prose also. In the Upanishads, there are some prose Upanishads. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad is prose Upanishad. Kena Upanishad is verse, but some of it is prose. Isha Upanishad is all verse. Katha Upanishad is all verse. Chandogya Upanishad is prose Upanishad. Many of the texts later written in, but this is it's to their credit that such subtle and sophisticated thought can be packed into poetry. I had an experience at the Harvard Divinity School at the end of our course, a difficult course on the emptiness school of Tibetan Buddhism. Professor J. Garfield, who is a world authority in that field, he said that assignment, 25 pages on emptiness, on nothing. So we all groaned, like all students everywhere. We groaned and, 25 pages, can't you make it 12 and less? Then he said, okay, all right, I'll make it 12. But the 12 pages have to be poetry. It has to be in verse. And we said, no, 25 pages. Then he says, notice all the books you read by Nagarjuna, Chandrakirti, the Tibetan masters, they're all in verse, most of it. How difficult it is to hold on to the rules of poetry and do deep, deep philosophy. It's worth appreciating. Yes. The last question. Tell us your name.
Dennis. And my question is about...
Okay, just go ahead. Yeah,
my question is about realization. Because I've been kind of asking myself the question, like, why am I coming to Vedanta?
Yeah.
There seems to be like two different kinds of realization. So one is kind of this having the knowledge of what you're saying and understanding it. And the other one is the being of the knowledge. The
menu and the dinner.
Yeah.
Yes. And that, by the way, is something I borrowed from Alan Watts, who was that philosopher come pirate. This he was described as part pirate, part philosopher.
So then my question was like, the having of the realization seems to be kind of like if someone would scan my brain before and after the lecture, there probably would be something different about my neuronal construction. Do you think there would be something different about my neuronal construction in the being of the realization?
Yes. Also, why?
Yeah,
why?
Because it seems there's like, they seem different, but...
Yes. But why?
How are they both still appearances in...
Yes, and yet why would there be a difference in the neuronal level? At the physical, there would be. Why? Because it's a particular experience. Every particular experience will have its neuronal correlate. But deeper than that, Vivekananda mentions this at least thrice in the course of one lecture. There is but one reality. And it is true not only at Advaitam, as I said, light non-duality. It says at the physical level, there is one reality. At the mental level, there is one reality. And at the spiritual level, there is one reality. It is all one. Are there so three levels, three unities, physical unity, mental unity, and spiritual unity? No. It is also one. Then why not just stop at the physical level? I've thought about this. Because you can't explain mind from the physical level. You'll be forced to the mental level. Why don't stop at mental level? You can't explain consciousness from the mental level. You have to be forced to consciousness. But Vivekananda affirms it is still one. It is one and continuous reality. So nothing, that's the beauty of Advaita. Nothing of science is lost. If you make a discovery about brain science today, it remains true even after you realize what is this pure consciousness. One scientist, mathematician I was talking to, he teaches pure mathematics at Oxford University. He says he really liked this part of Advaita. If it preserves scientific knowledge, all our gains in science and technology, they are as valid where they stand. This Advaitic idea will only deepen our understanding. Bernardo is what he also says this. Yeah.
So I get that, but then the question that I have is like, how then am I free? Because then it seems like the realization is still in some ways bound by the physical.
Only because we think that the physical is different from me, and I am a spirit trapped in this cage of flesh, in brains and neurons. I am a spirit trapped in axons and dendrites and some fluttering around there. No. Even this physical body, down to the bones and the brain and neurons and axons, the psychological body and the causal body behind it, they are nothing but me, the consciousness. So I am not trapped in anything other than me. This becomes more clear in Kashmiri Shaivism, for example. They take all this very seriously. Advaita will say, don't bother about it. Your pure consciousness, that's it, done. But Kashmiri Shaivism will take every step seriously. And they will say, yes, this is all real. They have the vibration theory. It is the vibration of consciousness which goes from the Shiva level down to the mental level, down to the physical level. It's one vibration. So if enlightenment has a neurological correlate, no problem at all from the philosophical perspective. It is a problem if you take the materialist perspective. Then the materialist will say it's produced by the brain. It's not produced by the brain, other way around. The other way around. Yeah. Okay.